When you argue against someone by calling that person names or by saying that the person you're arguing with is a bad person, that's called arguing ad hominem. It is to cast judgment on a person's argument by casting judgment on the person making the argument. Here's a perfect example. Argumentum ad hominem. It is a fallacy. It's not actually arguing the point. It's avoiding the point to be insulting instead. Here's a different type of logical fallacy. That's not new. That's not actually even interesting about this scandal. Fox does what Fox does.
Which is kick your network's butt every single night, madam.
Now, when I responded to that on the air, I put up a graphic that said argumentum ad hominem. But that's not right, actually. I got a really nice note from a PhD in the English department at Tulane, pointing out that actually by saying I was wrong because more people watch his show, that wasn't an ad hominem attack. It was an argumentum ad populum. Isn't that awesome? It's another logical fallacy. Instead of avoiding the point by insulting me directly, it's avoiding the point by saying that his position must be correct because more people believe it to be correct. If many believe so, it is so. Argumentum ad populum. Classical logical fallacy. I'm sorry for having mislabeled it before. But now Mr. O'Reilly is eliminating the need for such precision because he is still going after me, but now he is calling me names and he's saying he's right because of his ratings again. So he's both ad hominem and ad populum all at once. This time the case against me is in his nationally syndicated column, which I'm sure is read by millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of people. The headline is, quote, "Only far-left loons scared of Fox News." Guess who the loon is? Yes. Talking about me on David Letterman's show this week, Mr. O'Reilly says, quote, speaking with far-left MSNBC news commentator Rachel Maddow on his program, Dave listened as she put forth the preposterous theory that Fox News wants to frighten white Americans by reporting negatively about black Americans. In the past, paranoid, dishonest rants like that would have been dismissed as fringe speak, but not anymore. Without a shred of evidence, a guest on Letterman's Late Show, which, by the way, gets trounced in the ratings by Fox News Channel every night, defines an entire news organization as a racist enterprise, and Letterman goes along. Mr. O'Reilly's repeated insistence that Fox News must be right because Fox has high ratings is a many-splendored thing, particularly because this week, if you believe Mr. O'Reilly, this week means that we're all wrong and only sharksploitation is right. But there is something else going on here that isn't just an ad populum fallacy about ratings or an ad hominem collateral swipe at the lovely creature that is the loon. It is something stupid enough that it doesn't even get dressed up in Latin phrasing. It's him saying that there's no evidence to back up my claim that Fox News consistently runs stories it says are news, but that nobody else really covers. Stories that are ginned up, exaggerated, caricatured, in some cases just flat out made up scare stories designed to make white people feel afraid of black people, designed to make it seem like black people, or in some cases immigrants, are threatening white people and taking what is rightfully theirs. You may not like that diagnosis of what Fox has been up to, but to say there's no evidence, not a shred of evidence, as he said, that's bullpucky.
Speaking at an NAACP event in March, Department of Agriculture official Shirley Sherrod was caught on tape saying something very disturbing. Seems a white farmer in Georgia had requested government assistance from Ms. Sherrod. Wow. Well, that is simply unacceptable, and Ms. Sherrod must resign immediately.
Of course, the Shirley Sherrod story ended up being exposed as total bullpucky, manufactured by nifty video editing. And Mr. O'Reilly had to apologize for that statement. But it's not like the Shirley Sherrod story stands alone.
The collapse of Acorn. That is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. Here's the latest scandal, and you're not going to believe it. Because federal authorities have not done much policing of Acorn, two private citizens, James O'Keefe and Hannah Giles, launched an undercover sting investigation themselves. The two posed as a prostitute and a pimp and asked a number of Acorn officials to help them get housing for a prostitution enterprise. The latest sting was in California, where an Acorn employee engaged the young woman posing as a prostitute. Acorn is a tax-exempt organization that should immediately lose that status, and Attorney General Holder should begin an intense investigation.
Of course, the Acorn story ended up being exposed as total bullpucky, too. Also manufactured by nifty video editing. Remember after the California Attorney General looked into the full tapes and then arrested all those Acorn folks for those crimes that Bill O'Reilly showed them committing on tape? Yeah, you don't remember that? Me neither, because it never happened. Bullpucky again. But still, very scary.
A guy like Van Jones, who's a friend of the president, all right? And he comes in, and he's a hardcore Marxist, and he says, yeah, he is. He admits it. All I keep hearing is from people like Eugene Robinson, who traffics in racism every time you turn around. White Americans don't like the huge expansion of the federal government. They also oppose the big spending increases that the president has imposed. It's simple. White Americans fear government control. They don't want the feds telling them what to do, and they don't want a bankrupt nation. For decades, African Americans have supported a bigger federal government so it can impose social justice. The vast majority of blacks want money spent to level the playing field, to redistribute income from the white establishment to their precincts.
Black people want white people's money. They want to redistribute income from the white establishment to their precincts. But remember, Mr. O'Reilly says there is not a shred of evidence that Fox News hyped stories about scary black people taking white people's stuff. I am not interested in playing cable news insult ping pong with Mr. O'Reilly. But as much as he keeps insisting that I'm no one worth arguing with, that I'm an uber leftist, he also called me that in his column, and a loon, twice now, and a slightly larger percentage of 1% of the population watches his show than the proportion of 1% of the population that watches my show, for all he complains about how unimportant I am. My criticism that Fox News scares white people on purpose to politically benefit conservatives, damn the consequences for the country, that criticism appears to have struck a nerve over at Fox. It appears to have gotten under Mr. O'Reilly's skin. Good. That does it for us tonight. We'll see you back here on Monday. Have a great weekend.